My name is Chef Martel. I'm with Full Plate Culinary, and this is Underground Flavors. And today, we're going down south, and we're going close to my heart. We're going down south where I spent a couple of years in Mobile, Alabama. Then we're gonna head back up north, right up to Pittsburgh, from where I'm originally from, to where we're gonna have my rendition of a holy sandwich. And then we're gonna finish it off something that I make for my family present day, which is a Salmon Florentine. So we're gonna get into it. First things first, we're gonna start off with this catfish. Now, catfish is a white fish, flaky, and the first thing you will wanna do is to make sure you get it into a nice bath of buttermilk, a little bit of hot sauce, and some Old Bay seasoning. Right now, I have mine sitting right here, getting ready, so while that's sitting right there, I'm gonna go ahead and make the dredge for it. And those who don't know what dredge is, that's basically what you flour your things in. We'll get that nice little flip. So we're gonna start off with some flour, cornmeal, little Old Bay seasoning, just a little. Don't go overboard because you're gonna be re-seasoning your fish before you get started. Give that a little shake. You don't need much. Now, see this? This right here is a catfish that has been sitting in this buttermilk with hot sauce and Old Bay. You get a nice good look at it. This is how you want it. You want to make sure that you get all of the excess off because you don't want to be dripping all over the place. Now, making this dish, it does come with some memories. Again, like the intro, I'm not from Mobile, Alabama. Actually, I lived there for a couple of years, and I learned how to make catfish from an old Southern woman. I used to sell life insurance. So going from door to door, I end up meeting some interesting people down there. And the first thing people do down there is they feed you. You knock on their door and they want to feed you. And the first thing that she made me, I was knocking on the door and the lady said, "Am I hungry?" I said, "Yeah." She fed me some catfish and also some grits. Never had that because I'm a Northern boy. So now that we have our catfish sitting right here in our dredge, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get ready to fry it up. But first, before we fry it up, we're gonna start off with these waffles right here, which is very special. Cornbread waffles. I made them for my family a couple of days ago and they all loved it. So I know y'all gonna be able to love it today also. Okay, and we are back. And we're gonna be making a cornbread waffle today. Now, cornbread waffle is actually kind of a new thing to me. When I made it for my children, they looked at me with a look of, "Dad, what is this?" So what is this? A better way to make a waffle. So let's get into it. So we have some cornmeal. And here at the Underground, we don't normally measure everything, but for measuring sakes, let's go for 2 cups. When you're a chef, you could be able to look at something and tell you right offhand, this is 2 cups, just by feeling the weight. But for those who are not chefs, make sure you just go ahead and grab you a nice little measuring cup and you go from there. But for those who know, you know. Flour, you can go about 1 cup. Sugar, always make sure you have sugar. You do not want a bland waffle. Now, I remember coming up as a kid, when we had waffles, it was like a special occasion. So like on a Saturday morning and you woke up and you smell pancakes or waffles, you knew it was gonna be a good Saturday morning. We was gonna go out somewhere where something was gonna happen. And for us, when we was coming up, it was Highland Park during the summer. We get up, go to Highland Park in Pittsburgh, and everybody from all the neighborhoods are there, and it's one big giant barbecue. Now, we got a little bit of baking soda, baking powder, vanilla extract, 2 eggs. And milk, about a cup. We're gonna give that a nice little whisk. And don't worry if it start getting a little bit too thick, just add a little bit more milk if you have some. Remember, you put baking soda and baking powder and it's gonna cause a reaction to where it's gonna fluff up. We don't want hard pucks. We want nice, soft, fluffy waffles. And it should look a little bit something like this. So, now that we got our waffles together, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our waffles into our waffle maker. And then after that, we're going to start off with something really, really near and dear to my heart. Cheese grits. My mother, God bless her soul, used to make me cheese grits, and it was revolutionary. I never knew you could do that with grits because I was one of those nasty kids that actually put sugar in its grits. No judgment. So, let's go ahead, and right before we do that, we'll be right back and we're gonna go ahead and get started with our waffles. All right, and we're back. Now, I know I said we was gonna work on these waffles real quick, but considering how everything goes fast with breakfast, we're gonna have to play connect dots, tic-tac-toe, whatever game you decide to play, we're gonna play it right now with this food. So right now, we're gonna go ahead and start focusing on our catfish, and also we're gonna start focusing on our grits. Now, because you wanna make sure that your grease is nice and hot, please do not do nothing dumb and put your fish into cold grease. Always make sure your grease is nice, piping hot, not smoking, just hot. Because this is only gonna take about 4 minutes to be able to cook. So let's get into it. So remember from the first part, we did already have our catfish all nice dredged up, and it is ready to go. Okay, so, but first things first, our grits. Now, our grits is a special thing. They're quick, they're easy. You can make it long, you can make it drawn out, but for the sake of everyone, let's keep it simple. Now, first things first, you want some water, and also you want cream. But we're gonna go ahead and do it with water because we got some other stuff going on here. Now, with your grits, you always make sure you put salt in your water. A little bit of butter. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil, because again, it doesn't take that long. And we're gonna make sure we have our grits nice and ready. Now we're gonna go over here to our catfish, get all that excess cornmeal off, and we're gonna lay it in there, nice and easy. Yeah, I can smell it now. And here we are. Now, me, I'm old style. I like everything in my hands because I like interacting with everything. So while we got that going, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna come back and we're gonna go check on this real quick and make sure we get our grits coming up to a boil, and then we're gonna work on our waffles. right, and we're back. Now, let's get into our waffles. Fortunately, I got me a waffle maker. So, with every waffle maker, always make sure that you grease your waffle maker, top and bottom. Now we're going to have to get into it. We are going to put that into it. And we're going to give that a nice little close. Put it on 3, and we're going to flip you over. And we have a couple of minutes, but we have to get to that waffle. So while we're waiting for our waffle, we have our grits over here. They're working. Always make sure you wait for your grits to get to a nice boil before you be able to put your grits in there. And again, like I said at the beginning, we're going to put some cream in here. Now, my mother never put cream into her grits. I started putting cream into my grits because I like the texture of the nice creamy to make it nice and soft and ooey gooey when it comes down to the cheese. So it's almost going to be simultaneously when you add in your grits, when you add in your cheese, because your grits are going to cook very, very, very fast. Regardless, even if you have the stone grits, they're going to cook fast, and you want to make sure that you put in your cheese at the correct time. All right, so we'll give that a nice little stir. We're gonna wait till it comes up to a simmer boil, and we're gonna start adding our grits, and then we're gonna add our cheese. And we also have to be able to pay attention to our waffles because our catfish is done. And we're gonna bring all this together in one beautiful dish. Now, while we're still waiting for that, there's our waffle. It's almost done. And so while we're waiting for our waffle, this is its time to be able to point out the elephant in the room, the kale. Ew, kale for breakfast. Kale is a superfood. And also it's one of those foods that if you have it early in the morning, it just makes you feel good. So why not go with it? We're gonna saute this with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper and butter, and we're gonna put that right into our dish. It's gonna look beautiful. And we're back, and our waffle is done. So now we gotta pluck our waffle from the waffle maker. It should look nice and golden. We're gonna go ahead and pluck this out. And actually we can, when your hands are like mine's, you could be able to grab hot things without even knowing that you're anything hot. So if anybody ever seen the movie, The Menu, that chef said, I can grab onto this pot without even having to worry about being burned. I'm not there yet. So now that our coming up to a roaring boil, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add in our grits, and then we're gonna add in our cheese almost simultaneously. So it's gonna be almost a minute apart. So here we go. Make sure you stir in your grits as you're putting them in, or you're gonna end up getting lumpy grits. You're gonna turn down your heat just a little, because now everything's starting to cook. Now you add in your cheese. Now I have a mixture of cheese. This is actually 3 cheeses in here: Monterey, cheddar, and sharp cheddar. And we're gonna go ahead and add that in. And still stir that in. Now, while that's going off, we're going to turn off this heat right here to this grease. Again, it's not too much to let your grits get into it. So we're gonna go ahead and let our grits get thickening up. And while they're thickening up, we're gonna put them somewhere else. We're gonna go ahead and move our grits over so they can simmer out. And we're gonna go right into our kale. Now, our kale is gonna be a little bit special. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a nice rough chop because it's all gonna weld down. Now, I never had kale coming up as a kid. When I seen kale, it was ew. I didn't start liking kale until I became an adult. So, something you end up knowing about me. It wasn't until I started to become a full-blown chef until I started experimenting with all these wonderful flavors and herbs that I didn't even know existed until I became embedded into the culinary game. So, right now, our grits are simmering. We have a pan going for our kale where we're gonna add some onions, a little bit of garlic, and some salt and pepper. And of course, olive oil. For those who use grape oil or any type of other oils, extra virgin, just know that it has a very high, low smoke point. So you always wanna use regular olive oil or blended oil so you can be able to get the flavors from here. All right, nice and hot. We're gonna go ahead and add our kale. Here, a nice little sizzle. Gotta be quick. Got some onion to go with it. Dry herbs. And a little bit of garlic. And again, with garlic, those who don't know, smash. And I'm gonna get nice little, small little dices out of that. Don't want much, don't want the whole clove, just a little bit. Because garlic can go a long way. And we'll give that a nice saute, get that out of there. A little bit of salt. And when you go to saute them, you don't want them to go down full wilt. They're not spinach. Spinach goes down and wilts up. This, you just want a nice quick saute, no longer than maybe a minute or so. I can smell it, all of it. The onions, the garlic, the herbs, thyme, rosemary, oregano. So now that we got that going down like that, we're gonna go ahead and turn that off, and we're gonna go ahead and pay attention to our grits that has been sitting here simmering, and they're ready. So now that we have nice creamy grits, we can go ahead and turn our grits off, and we'll be back, and we're gonna plate something. We're gonna plate everything. And also I got a special treat to go on top of that waffle right there. So we'll be right back and we'll get into it. And we're back. And now it's to the part where in this breakfast, we're gonna start plating everything. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First things first, we're gonna go ahead and take our nice, creamy, beautiful grits. We'll go ahead and lay that in there. Then we're gonna take our kale. I'll set it right there. We're gonna take our catfish. They are right there. And our wonderful waffles, we'll sit them right here on the edge. And that special little treat that I had for you was a little bit of butter and honey to go right there on top of your waffles. And it will bring everything together. And a nice, beautiful twist. Some green onions. And here we are, our Southern fried catfish meal, ready to consume, ready to eat. This speaks to your soul and it sends you off on a nice Saturday morning, or better yet, a Sunday brunch that get your day going. So next, we're gonna go into my childhood a little bit deeper, and then after that, we're gonna go into my present day, and we're gonna go ahead and get into it. We'll be right back. And we are back. Now we're about to get into my childhood. Originally, I'm from Pittsburgh, black and yellow all day. Sorry, Eagle fans, it is what it is. Congratulations to y'all anyway. But being down in the Strip District on a Saturday morning, Saturday going into the afternoon, was the best times you can possibly have. But the first place you gotta go is Woolies Fish Market, where they have the best fish sandwiches in the burg. Other than the Triangle, they have the best hoagies. But I digress from my point. Right now, we're gonna do my rendition of a Woolies sandwich, and we're gonna get into it right now. So this is the speed round. So lunch is really quick, and the Woolies, you go into this really long line, they double fry the fish, and you're in and you're out. And that's what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna do beer batter, which I have some flour, baking powder, baking soda, and also some bay seasoning and salt and pepper. So I put the salt and pepper into the dredge so I won't have to double salt it. You know, you don't want to put the salt on the fish and then put it in here, it's going to lose. So you just put your salt into the dredge where you can be able to monitor everything that's going on. So give it a nice little twirl. And you're going to add your beer. It doesn't matter what kind of beer. I prefer a lager. And you're gonna give it a nice little stir. Eventually it's gonna all thicken up. And then once you got it all nice and thickened up, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna put your fish in. You're gonna make sure your grease is nice and hot. So that's what we're gonna make sure our grease is nice and hot before we go ahead and dip our fish in. Just like with breakfast, always make sure that your grease is piping hot. Get this a little move out of the way. Take the gloves off. Now, you can test to see if your grease is hot by one or two ways. You can actually go ahead and grab your thermometer, put it in there, get it to a temp 350, or we're not there yet. So while we're waiting for our grease to get hot, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stick our cod right into our mix. I'm gonna add some gloves on. Let's get rid of those. Now, as a kid, being down at the Strip District, you want to be able to go down there and you want to get the latest jerseys, you want to get the latest shirts, you want to just be down there. And when you're down there, everybody's a part of the neighborhood. And that's what Pittsburgh is one big giant neighborhood. And we all eventually end up meeting down at the Strip District. So for those who know, they know, and I want to be able to one day cook this same fish sandwich for them and make them proud to say, hey, I'm from the Berg. I remember, this is what I remember. This is my taste. So, we'll take our fish. We'll go ahead and lay that in there. Now, some people might take their mixture and turn around and double coat it with some flour. Some people might, just basically go in there wet. I know with Woolies, they normally double fry it. So what they do is they take it, they lay it down, they fry it, and then they come back out and they fry it again with another dip. So I'm gonna make sure my dredge is good enough so I can be able to do one dip. All right, let's make sure our grease is hot. And we got hot grease. So we're gonna give that a nice little turn down, and we're gonna go ahead and put our fish in there. About 2 to 3 minutes on each side. And here we go. Now, I'm gonna give it an attempt to do the double dip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it fry out just a little bit. Once I see that the outside is getting nice and golden, I'm gonna take it, throw it back in here, quick dip, right back into the grease. So while we're waiting for that, we can go ahead and dress up our bun because we're at lunch. We gotta hurry up, we gotta go back to work. So, at Woolies, usually they use tartar sauce. Me, I'm gonna use some truffle mayo. There on the top. And some Dijon mustard on the bottom. And I'm the type of person that likes my garden on the bottom. So, I have some coleslaw that I had some nice apple cider vinegar, salt, pepper. And I'm gonna put that right here on my bun. And we're gonna stick our pickle in at the end. All right, let's try to do the double dip. So we have our nice golden looking cod here. I'm gonna pick it up nice and slowly. And we're gonna attempt the double dip. We're gonna make sure it's there, drain it out, dip. And you're going right back in, buddy. And we did the double dip. I hope I made them proud. All right, so while we're going to get that going for 2 minutes on each side, we have our bun ready. We're going to get our pickle, we're going to stick it on the top, and we're going to dive into this sandwich because the best way to have one of these fish sandwich is when they're hot. We'll probably add some hot sauce at the end of it. Gotta have some hot sauce. Get that nice little rinse off. All right, so now that we're getting our cod ready to go, it's almost done. We're gonna give it a minute or so, and we're gonna go ahead. Let's see if I brought some special toys from my nice little kit here. I didn't bring my toy. Usually I have a fish spatula in my bag so I can be able to make sure I have this stuff coming out nice and easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this because I just washed my hands. And we're gonna have to bring this cod up nice and slow because the one thing about cod, it's flaky and it's very, 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 very delicate. So Let's get her out. Let that drain out as much as you can, because the one thing you don't want to have is a greasy sandwich. And we may definitely make sure, I know they make sure at Woolies that they don't have a greasy sandwich, but I'm gonna make sure we do the same thing here. That's a beautiful cod. So what we're gonna do here, now we have everything right here. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take our cod, we're gonna put it right here on top of that. A nice slaw. Set that to the side. And because I love hot sauce, yeah, I love truffle. Truffle hot sauce is the best. And yes, I use that stuff on everything, even though that is not their slogan. And here we are, a wonderful, fresh sandwich for lunch. You can devour this at any time during the day, especially for lunch. So I hope I was able to take you back to Pittsburgh with me with this sandwich. Next, we're gonna go into what I make for present day, which is the Salmon Florentine for my family. And I know for a fact that you're gonna enjoy that. So we'll get into that. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. And now we're at the end of the day, to where I took you to a nice little tour from where I'm from, what I've done, and also where I'm from as far as Pittsburgh and the fish sandwich. And now we're getting to the last part where this holds dear to my heart, because I make this for my family. I make this so much more to where it's become one of the staples on my menu at Full Plate Culinary. So today, right now, at the end, we're going to make a Salmon Florentine, and we are going to go ahead and get into it. So we have a wonderful, beautiful salmon here. And with the salmon, it doesn't matter if you have skin on or skin off. It doesn't matter what type of person you are. You roll with it. So for me, I'm a skin on type of guy. So we're gonna go ahead and get our salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. And that's all you need for the salmon. That's it, salt and pepper. Don't go overboard, because everybody wants to use their starting 5. Salt, pepper, paprika, onion powder, and garlic powder. You don't have to use all of that for here, because we have our starting 5 right here on this table. So again, with our salmon, what you want to do is cut a couple of scores in there. 2, bend it up, 1 score, 2 scores. So what that does is it gets the salt into the meat. You could push it in there into the cracks, make sure it gets in there. All right. Now that we have our salt and peppered salmon, we're gonna go ahead back here. We're gonna put some olive oil in this pan. Not a whole lot, just enough to be able to coat the pan. We're gonna add some garlic. Don't worry about the garlic falling. It's the kitchen, it is what it is. I done stepped on plenty of garlic working inside of a kitchen. So the Salmon Florentine was one of the things that me and my wife came up with. We were sitting there, we was wondering, hey, you know, we love salmon. I done made a salmon 100 different types of ways. What other else can we do? So she pulled out the recipe for Salmon Florentine, and I basically just took it on to my own. So now that we have our olive oil nice and hot, we're gonna go skin down first. Please do not do flesh down first. It'll defeat the purpose of having this beautiful salmon. And you're gonna lay it down just so. I'm gonna put on my gloves because we're gonna work with our fingers here. We're gonna do the Michael Jackson thing. And while this is cooking, skin down first, we're gonna go ahead and add butter. And we're gonna go ahead and let that sink in. Now, I am not a Ramsay type chef. I am an underground type chef. I am a personal chef. I am a home chef. So, yes, you do want to take your garlic, your butter, and put it right there on the top of your salmon to help out the cooking process. Now, in other chefs' restaurants and other chefs' kitchens, normally they take their salmon and chuck it right inside the oven. We're not going to do that today. We're going to actually finish out our salmon on both sides, actually frying it. Then we're going to take the grease out, and then we're going to add in our spinach. So while our salmon is going ahead and going to cook skin down first, we'll be right back. And then by the time we come back, we're going to go ahead and start with the Florentine, the sauce, the wonderful elegance of this. We're going to add some mushrooms to it too. So stay tuned. And we are back. Now we're about to get into the sauce. Now with the sauce, we're gonna go ahead with some vegetable stock. We have some onions, garlic, portobello mushrooms, and also some spinach, Parmesan cheese and cream. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of olive oil, not much. We're gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and put our onions and our garlic in to the pan. Reason why we do that, because we want the fragrance of the onions and the garlic. And also we have some herbs here, just a little bit so we can be able to just get some fragrance in the room. Now, we'll let that sit in there for a couple of seconds. We don't want it to burn at all. We just want it to sweat just a little. Once you got it to sweat just a little, go ahead and add in your spinach. With your spinach, salt and pepper. And trust me, with spinach, you're gonna need a lot of salt. If you have high blood pressure, I would suggest sea salt, or maybe a kosher salt, or no salt at all. So, we're gonna let this wilt down just a little bit before we go ahead and put in our vegetable stock. We don't want it down all the way until we get vegetable stock. Now, what I just did was deglazing the pan. Now, normally you deglaze the pan right after, but all I did was take a little bit of water and rinse off my pan. I still had some bits and pieces from the salmon, so I just deglazed it again with the garlic and the onions that's in the pan, along with the spinach. So now that our spinach is wilted down, we are going to add in a little bit of red pepper, just a couple of flakes. We're gonna go ahead and start adding in our mushrooms. Now, my wife is a big salmon lover. So we've made salmon 100 different types of ways, and this is one of our favorite ways to make the salmon. And growing up as a kid, honestly, salmon came in a can. So it's a pleasure and it's a blessing to be able to cook this fish and be able to cook it right now. Just it's a blessing to be able to cook anything, all the way down from chicken to kangaroo, which I actually cooked. So, but right now we're focusing on seafood and this salmon. So right now we got our we have our spinach sauteing, and also we have our mushroom sauteing too. So what we're going to do is we're going to saute all that into the pan. I guess somebody didn't feel like being cooked, so he jumped out. All right, turn up the heat just a little bit. And I'm gonna reduce this down until I be able to get a nice simmer to everything. Then once I bring all the flavors together, then I'm gonna add in the cream and Parmesan cheese. All right, so now that we have our mushrooms, our spinach, our garlic, our onions, we got it all down to a nice little simmer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and add in our heavy whipping cream, and we're gonna add in our cheese a little bit after. And we're gonna make sure this is all get thickened up too, as you see. And just so people know, heavy whipping cream is a natural thickener. So just for those who know, they know, you do not have to add in a slurry or anything else to help it thicken up. It will thicken up on its own. So we're gonna bring this down to a simmer, let that simmer down. And then once it starts simmering, we're gonna add in a little bit more vegetable stock, and then we're gonna add in some more herbs and then the Parmesan cheese. And then we're gonna put our salmon into our wonderful special sauce. So when we get back, we'll be doing that. And we are back and we are getting our sauce together. So now we're to the point where we're gonna add in our Parmesan cheese. And we're gonna do that as so. And give that a nice little stir in. Now we got that in. I'm gonna go ahead and take our wonderful, beautiful salmon that we had sitting here resting. We're gonna place them in there. I'm gonna let them sit in there for a minute or so. Not too long. Just enough to be able to absorb the juices. I'm gonna take the sauce and I'm gonna make a nice little cozy bed for the salmon so the salmon can soak up all that. And we're gonna get over here and we're gonna plate everything. So, with plating, for me, I am not the plating connoisseur. I am the dinosaur. I want to eat everything. I'm a carnivore. I like to just eat everything off the plate. But for the sake of those, I'm gonna plate this nice and wonderful for you, because my job is to make you hungry. And if I'm not making you hungry, then I'm not doing my job. So let's get into it. Now, we have our sauce. We're gonna place that in there first. Yes. All of our spinach. And the wonderful thing about spinach, I never used to like spinach. It wasn't until some lady made spinach for me and basically told me, hey, if Popeye can eat spinach, so can you. And from that point, she made me some spinach that I never forgot, with onions and garlic, and it was history. I liked it, spinach, from this point. Now, if this doesn't make you hungry, I don't know what will, because this is what I make for my family. And what I make for my family, I make for everybody else and my clients. And this dish right here, I dedicate this to my wife because this is her dish, her salmon Florentine. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take just a little bit of zest. Put it in there, just some zing. And we'll just take a little bit of dill. Just put that around there. All right, here we are, this beautiful salmon Florentine. But let's recap of what the things that we made today. So we have our salmon Florentine. For lunch, we had our Woolies fish sandwich. And for breakfast, which was actually a big breakfast, so we really are hungry. Fried catfish with kale, cheese grits, and cornbread waffles. If this doesn't make you hungry, honestly, I don't know what will, because when you're at Full Plate Culinary and you're in this show, Underground Flavor, this is what you get. Full meals all the time. And as always, I look forward to cooking for you. If you're looking for me, you can find me at fullplateculinary.com. Also on Instagram under the same name, fullplate_culinary, and also on TikTok at Chef Pack or at FPC Culinary. So I look forward to seeing you and can't wait to cook for you.